Right now, you're probably tired, not lazy, not undisciplined. Tired. You're tired because you've been trained your entire life to live like a swimmer fighting an ocean. Every day, you jump into the water and you fight the current. You battle the waves. You push with every muscle you have, just to move a few inches forward. And by the end of the day, you're utterly exhausted. Tell yourself you need more grit, more discipline. But what if the problem isn't you? What if it's the method? What if I told you that there's another way? A way to use the ocean's power instead of fighting it. Modern culture worships one single, destructive idea, that more effort always equals more results. We're told to push harder, work more hours, grind until we burn out. It's the gospel of hustle, and we've all bought into it. We apply brute force to our careers, our relationships, our health, our finances. But there's a hidden rule in life, a law of physics that hustle culture conveniently ignores. Brute force almost always creates an equal and opposite counterforce. Think about it. You push your team harder at work, and what happens? They resist. They get resentful. You try to force a relationship to work, and the other person pulls away. You try to control every tiny detail of your life, and your own nervous system rebels, leaving you anxious and burnt out. The resistance you're feeling isn't a sign that you need to push even harder. It's a sign that you're using the wrong physics. You're not failing. You're just fighting the current. This brings us to an ancient and profoundly misunderstood concept, Wu Wei. Now, for years, Wu Wei has been butchered by pop spirituality. It's been twisted into this passive idea of do nothing. Just sit on your couch, visualize your dreams, and wait for the universe to deliver. That isn't Wu Wei. That's spiritual procrastination. Real Wu Wei is the exact opposite of doing nothing. It's about effective action. It's the art of achieving the greatest possible result with the least amount of effort. It's about leverage. It's not about being passive. It's about being precise. Think of your life as a grand orchestra. You have different sections: your career, your health, your money, your relationships, your creativity, your emotional state. Most of us are trying to conduct this orchestra with a sledgehammer. We scream louder, faster, harder. And all we get is chaos, a mess of noise. Wu Wei is about finding the one precise frequency, the perfect rhythm that makes the entire orchestra harmonize beautifully without straining a single muscle. It's about finding that sweet spot where things just flow. So how do we find this flow? It starts with understanding a simple, brutal truth. The world doesn't obey force. It responds to resonance. Your reality doesn't care how hard you push. It responds to the signal you're broadcasting. When you operate from a place of fear, of scarcity, of a rigid ego that needs to be right, or from a place of desperation, you are broadcasting dissonance. You're sending out a jarring, ugly signal. And what does dissonance attract? Friction, resistance, struggle. This is exactly why trying harder often makes things worse. When you're in that state of frantic pushing, you're just amplifying the wrong signal. You're screaming into the orchestra, creating more noise, and then you wonder why there's no harmony. The secret isn't to push harder. but to change the signal you're sending out. It's about aligning yourself with the outcome you want, not forcing it into existence. This shift is what I call mental transmutation. It's about switching the polarity of your approach. Let's go back to our ocean analogy. Imagine a swimmer and a surfer, both facing the exact same massive, powerful wave. They face the same ocean, the same raw energy, the same potential danger. The swimmer sees the wave and thinks, "This is my enemy. I have to fight it." He thrashes and kicks and pushes against this immense force, getting tossed around, exhausted, and making only inches of progress before being swept back. He's fighting the power. The surfer, on the other hand, sees the same wave and thinks, "This is power." She doesn't fight it. She reads it. She understands its direction, its speed, its rhythm. She positions herself, waits for the perfect moment, and with one single, precise, well-timed move, she gets on the board. And what happens next? The wave that was the swimmer's enemy becomes the surfer's engine. It accelerates her, carrying her effortlessly to the shore. She used the power instead of fighting it. That is mental transmutation. It's not about changing your circumstances first. It's about changing your internal state, your approach, your polarity. A practical way to know if you're a swimmer is this. If you keep meeting heavy, exhausting resistance in every area of your life, it's a huge red flag. It's a sign that you are pushing from the wrong state at the wrong time, in the wrong direction. You're swimming against the current. Now, it's crucial to distinguish real Wu Wei from its dangerous counterfeit, the one that has ruined countless lives. Millions of people have fallen into the trap of fake Wu Wei. This is the version that uses trust the universe as an excuse to avoid necessary action. It's a passive, lazy approach, disguised as spiritual wisdom. Let me give you a clear distinction. Think of a master archer. Before she releases the arrow, she is perfectly still. But is she inactive? No. Inside that stillness is years of discipline, a mind that is calibrating for wind and distance, a body coiled with potential energy, total readiness. Now think of a cat sleeping in a sunbeam. It's also still, but it's just sleeping. It's inactive. One is poised for precision action. The other is simply resting. Wu Wei is the archer, not the sleeping cat. It is not inactivity. It is the highest form of strategic action, born from stillness and alignment. It's knowing when to act, how to act, and what energy to act with. Okay, so we've established that brute force is the problem, not the solution. So why is it so hard to stop? Why can't your mind just let go and stop trying to control everything? The answer is that inside you lives a tyrant, a well-meaning but deeply misguided tyrant that calls itself responsibility. And in the next part, we're going to meet that tyrant and learn how to dethrone it. Have you ever felt like there's a voice in your head, a little manager, constantly planning, worrying, and trying to control every single outcome? You probably think it's just you being responsible, being on top of things. You think this inner controller is protecting you. But what if I told you it's actually the main source of your exhaustion? The very thing creating the chaos it promises to prevent. Let's talk about the controller mode. This voice, this controller, is incredibly clever. It doesn't sound like a monster. It sounds like logic. It speaks in perfectly reasonable sentences. Things like, if I don't plan every detail of this project, it's going to collapse. Or, no one can do this right but me. I have to handle it myself. And the classic, I just need to push a little harder, work a little longer, then I can relax. Tell that immediate panic of, I have to respond to this email right now, or everything will fall apart. This voice isn't evil. It's ancient. It's a survival mechanism that's been with our species for millennia. Back when a rustle in the bushes could mean a predator. This hypervigilance, this need to control the environment, kept us alive. It helped us navigate a world of genuine, immediate uncertainty. But here's the problem. That same ancient software is now running on the hardware of your modern adult life. And in this new context, it's not a survival tool anymore. It's a hidden prison. It keeps you in a state of constant tension, constantly reacting to every little thing. Your shoulders are always a bit tight, your jaw is a bit clenched, and your mind is always on. And this leads to a cruel, profound irony. The more you try to control everything around you, the more chaos you actually create. It's like trying to grip a handful of water. The tighter you squeeze your fist, the faster the water slips through your fingers. Your desperate attempt to hold on, to control, is the very action that makes you lose your grip. You try to manage your team's every move, and they become resentful and less competent. You try to schedule every minute of your day, and the first unexpected phone call sends your whole system into a tailspin. The controller promises order, but delivers only stress. So how do we break free? We have to understand that we're playing the game on the wrong level. Most people operate on the level of effects. They spend all their energy trying to fix the external world. They're trying to change other people's opinions, manipulate circumstances, predict the market, or wait for the perfect timing. It's an exhausting, endless battle against things that are, ultimately, outside of their control. They're constantly rearranging the furniture on a sinking ship. But true mastery, true effectiveness, lives on a different level entirely. It lives on the level of causes, and the primary cause is your internal state, your attention, your emotional frequency, the meaning you assign to events. These are the things you can actually influence. Now, this isn't some mystical, airy-fairy concept. This is the fundamental mechanics of human behavior. Think about it. Your internal state, whether you feel calm and centered or stressed and scattered, determines everything. It determines the tone of your voice when you talk to your partner or your clients. It determines what you notice in a meeting due. You see opportunities or only threats. It determines how other people read you and respond to you do. They see a confident leader or a nervous wreck. Your state dictates which decisions feel obvious and which ones feel impossible. It even affects how your body performs under pressure. Two people can face the exact same challenge, but the one with a more resourceful internal state will always have the upper hand. The cause is internal, the effect is external. So, If our internal state is the key, what's the most powerful tool we have to manage it? It's something so simple, it almost feels like cheating. It's the pause. The pause is your Archimedes lever, the small tool that can move the entire world. In our hustle-obsessed culture, pausing is often seen as weakness, as hesitation or laziness. But the truth is, the pause is the ultimate source of your freedom and power. Picture this. Someone triggers you. A colleague criticizes your work in a meeting. Your boss dismisses an idea you were excited about. A client challenges your expertise. In that moment, your nervous system, your ancient controller, wants to react instantly. It wants to defend, to attack, to justify, to shut down. That instant reaction is the default program. It's how external events and other people play you like a puppet on a string. They pull the string, and you dance. The pause creates a sacred space. It's a gap between the stimulus, the trigger, and your response. And in that gap, you reclaim your power. In that gap, you find choice. A pause can take many forms. It can be as short as taking 3 conscious, deep breaths before you answer that email. Just in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out. It can be deciding to take a 3-hour walk to clear your head before making a big decision. Or it could be taking 3 days of reflection before you respond to a major life or business proposal. The length of the pause doesn't matter as much as the mechanism itself. The mechanism is simple. You stop the automatic reaction. You break the circuit. You step off the hamster wheel. In that space you create. You regain the ability to choose your response, rather than being a slave to your reaction. Now, why does this feel so radical? Why is it almost a forbidden tool in our modern world? Because a person who has mastered the pause is incredibly difficult to manipulate. Think about it. A person who pauses doesn't buy into manufactured urgency. They don't get hijacked by fear-based news headlines or panicked emails from their boss. They don't trade their long-term power and well-being for the instant, fleeting relief of a knee-jerk reaction. The controller inside you, that anxious micro-dictator, thrives on immediacy. It tells you now, 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 now. The pause is a quiet revolution against that tyranny. It's the overthrow of the internal dictator. When you pause, you're telling that ancient, fearful part of your brain, I hear you. I understand you're trying to protect me, but I'm in charge now, and we're going to choose, not just react. This is where true sovereignty begins. So, you've started to practice the pause. You're creating that vital space between stimulus and response. But then a new question arises. Inside that space, how do you know what to do next? How do you know when to act, when to wait, and when it's time to change direction entirely? For that, you need more than just a brake pedal. You need a navigation system. You need your own inner traffic light. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. Have you ever felt completely drained? Not because life is hard, but because you feel like you're constantly pushing against a locked door. It's a feeling we all know. We think the answer is to push harder, to grit our teeth, and just force our way through. But what if I told you that's the very thing causing the burnout? Most people don't break because life is difficult. They break because they keep accelerating into red lights. Imagine your life, your work, your relationships as a journey through a city. To get where you're going smoothly, you need to understand the traffic signals. This isn't some mystical, abstract idea. This is a practical system for navigating reality with precision, so you can take action without burning out. Let's call it the traffic light system. First, we have the green light. This is when everything just flows. You know the feeling. Conversations open up effortlessly. Tough decisions suddenly feel clear. The timing for everything just clicks into place. You feel a natural momentum building, carrying you forward. The crucial thing to understand about a green light is that you don't force it. You don't make it happen. You recognize that the wave is already moving in your direction, and your job is simply to get on your surfboard and ride it. When it's green, you go. You commit, you move with confidence, because the path is clear. Then we have the red light. This is where most of us get it wrong. We see a red light an obstacle, a rejection, a frustrating delaying. Our gut instinct is to slam on the accelerator. We think red means try harder, be more aggressive, force it. But a red light isn't a challenge to your strength. It's information. It's a signal telling you that your current approach is out of sync with reality. A red light usually means one of two things. First, your internal state might be contaminated. You might be operating from a place of fear, scarcity, or ego. When you're in that state, you send out dissonant signals, and the world reflects that dissonance back at you. It's like trying to have a harmonious conversation while shouting. It just won't work. Second, a red light might mean you retrying to force a path that simply isn't the right one. The route itself needs to be redesigned. You're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Pushing through a true red light is like trying to perform surgery with a hammer. Sure, you might get through the obstacle, but you'll cause so much damage and destroy so much value along the way that it's a hollow victory. So when you see red, the answer isn't to push, it's to stop, breathe, and reroute. Now for the most advanced and nuanced phase, the yellow light. This is the space of transition. You can feel the energy is shifting, but clarity hasn't emerged yet. Things are uncertain. This is where beginners make one of two mistakes. They either get scared, pour, and quit, or they get impatient and try to force the light to turn green. They can't handle the ambiguity, but masters do something much rarer and more powerful. They stay engaged without attachment. They don't run away, but they also don't force a conclusion. They make small adjustments. They observe. They practice patience. They listen. They wait and watch until the yellow light resolves itself, turning either green or red. They understand that this in-between phase is where the most critical information is gathered. It's the moment of distillation, where you separate what's working from what isn't, preparing for your next move. This idea of adapting brings to mind a powerful metaphor, the difference between the oak tree and the bamboo. We're often taught that strength is rigidity, like the mighty oak. It stands tall, unbending, a symbol of brute force. But when an unstoppable storm comes, a force too great to resist, what happens? The oak snaps. It breaks. Now consider the bamboo. It's also incredibly strong, but its strength is in its flexibility. When the same storm comes, the bamboo bends. It yields to the force, letting the wind pass through it. And when the storm is over, it doesn't just survive. It springs back, sometimes even stronger than before. This is the nature of true strength in a constantly changing world. Rigidity is fragility in disguise. The hidden test in any moment of resistance is to ask yourself this powerful question: what am I actually protecting right now? Is it a core value, a deep truth that I must stand for? Or is it just my ego's need to be right, to look dominant, to feel untouchable? More often than not, rigidity protects our image, not the truth. Flexibility, on the other hand, allows us to navigate reality as it is, not as we wish it would be. And this leads us to the final, most profound revelation. The source of so much of our suffering, our burnout, our struggle, comes from a fundamental illusion, the illusion of separation. We see ourselves as a solid, separate object, a rock hand. We feel like life is a river constantly battering against us. The rock is fixed, stubborn, and constantly under assault. From this perspective, life is an endless fight. But what if that entire picture is wrong? What if you are not a rock in the riverbed? What if you are the river itself? Think about what that means. When you stop clinging to a rigid identity, to a fixed idea of who you are and how things should be, and instead shift into a fluid, flowing relationship with experience, the struggle dramatically drops away. The river doesn't fight the riverbank, it flows around it. It doesn't curse the rocks in its path. It finds the path of least resistance. This connects directly to the psychological concept of a flow state. When do athletes, artists, or programmers achieve peak performance? It's almost always when the self-monitoring I, that little voice in your head that judges, criticizes, and worries, quiets down. You don't consciously do the thing. You become the doing. The musician becomes the music. The runner becomes the running. This isn't about being passive and letting life just happen to you. It's a powerful combination of non-resistance plus direction. You have a destination, a purpose, but you don't fight the current to get there. You use the current to steer. So how do we make this real? How do we go from a nice idea to a daily practice? Let's end with a simple, actionable 7-day experiment. For 1 week, I want you to try this. First, learn to catch the red lights. When you feel that friction, that internal urgency, that compulsion to just push harder, that's your signal. Pause. Second, practice the sage's pause. Before you reply to that frustrating email, before you make a reactive decision, take a minimum of 3 deep breaths. Create a space between the trigger and your response. Third, in that space, ask the cause question. What state inside of me is creating this outcome? Are you acting from fear, from ego, from a need for control? Just notice it. Fourth, observe. Don't wrestle. You don't need to kill your fear or destroy your ego. That's just more fighting. Instead, just watch it. Observe the feeling without judgment. Often, Just the act of compassionate observation allows the energy to transmute on its own. Fifth, aim for one leverage move per day. Instead of 100 scattered, frantic actions, find the 1 or 2 moves that will make the biggest difference. Fewer actions, higher precision. Sixth, practice reading the yellow lights. When things are uncertain, just stay present. Be curious. Don't force a resolution. Allow clarity to emerge. And finally, when you get a green light when things are flowing, ride it. Commit fully and move with the momentum. Don't hesitate. This week is about shifting your entire operating system. You are moving from a mindset of force to a mindset of flow. It's a fundamental change in your relationship with life itself. I'm not fighting the current. I'm reading it. I'm not forcing outcomes. I'm aligning causes. I'm not a rock being thrown by life. I'm the river learning to steer. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more ways to work with reality, not against it. If you're still here, watching my videos, I want to say something simple. Thank you. In a world of endless noise and distractions, the fact that you choose to spend your time here means more than you can imagine. It means you're one of those rare people who wants to go deeper, question reality, and look inside yourself, not just outside. I'm honestly happy that there are people who share these interests, these questions, this search for meaning. So if you feel this space resonates with you, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might need it. Your support helps this content reach more people who are also quietly searching. Thank you for being here, really.